Good evening, guys. I hope you are well and I hope you are keeping safe in these very troubling times. So as I sorry, so I kind of rushed my takeaway, so I've kind of like just give me a little bit of a tickly cough. I have a bit of drink actually. That'll cure it. Just feel like I need to clear my throat a little bit. Yeah, the missus thought it would be a good idea to get some takeaway in last minute. She knew I was doing this Q&A at 8 o'clock, so I had to kind of chow my food down, um, so I can kind of be on time for you guys, although I am a little bit late. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in our second bedroom, and it is quite echoey in here because there isn't really much in here. There's no bedroom. There's no bed in this bedroom, and it is quite bare in here. So, in essence, at this moment in time, it's kind of a dumping ground slash my kind of office. So you can't see it on camera, but you guys are on a desk. I've got a few boxes here and there with filming bits and bobs. I've got some model cars on my desk as well. It's kind of like my own little man cave. I've also got a few motoring themed canvases in here. So yeah, it would be nice to kind of have that stuff in the background so you can see it. But that's something to think about for future Q&As, because I would like to do more of them in here. So yeah, I'll have to try and think of a way of doing it. And the lighting isn't that great in here because you've got spotlighting. I have to be kind of be mindful how I sit so you can see me, because obviously I have quite a shadowy face otherwise. So yeah, but anyway, you don't really need to see me that much for the Q&A, as long as you can. It really, as long as you can hear me, that's the main thing. So yeah, we are in very tough times, and it's not just the UK, of course. It's globally. This is unlike anything I've seen in my lifetime. I'm only 29, so I'm not exactly, an old man, although sometimes I feel like an old man. But yeah, this is a completely unprecedented situation. But anyway, I don't want to focus too much on coronavirus because I'm sure a lot of you are sick of hearing about it. But by all means, if you have any questions relating to that, I'm more than happy to answer them. But obviously, I don't want to dwell too much on that topic, because let's keep things light, keep things positive, keep things bright. So I had a few messages come in already. Thank you so much, and again, thank you for all of your support. It's fantastic to get to 10,000 subscribers. I try not to focus too much on the numbers because I think that can detract your passion and your enjoyment from YouTube, because YouTube is flipping tough, particularly when you're in an area such as the automotive field, which has got so many people like myself doing what we do. So it is extremely competitive. Compare it to gaming or beauty or lifestyle. It's like the same kind of very competitive, very saturated field. So it isn't easy, believe me. But yeah, I had a few messages come in already. Andy Conway, good friend. Hi Aaron, hope you're well. I'm well, thank you. I hope you are well as well. And the same goes to your family and your social circle. Sam Block, I don't know if you've had this question before, but what is the best car you've reviewed overall? Congrats on the 10K subs. Thank you very much. It's always a difficult one to answer because different cars have got different purposes and are aimed at different people. So it's difficult to kind of pigeonhole one as the best I've ever reviewed. But obviously that's the kind of question that is always going to come up. It's a difficult one. It really is. So I've had the great fortune to review some wonderful cars over the years. Really tricky one. Really, really tricky. Um, yeah, I'm gonna choose a hot hatch because that's really not my niche, but my biggest interest. Some car YouTubers really focus on the supercar side of things, and for me, I wouldn't say supercars don't excite me, but it's just some very odd comments. I'm gonna bear with me just a few moments. Sorry, just some very random, somewhat inappropriate comments. I'm gonna get rid of them. I don't really want to do that, but yeah. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Just some yeah fruity comments. Let's say complimentative, but not really the right place or the right time. Sorry. Um, yeah. Anyway, back to my point. I love hot hatches, as many of you will know, because I love the fact they are essentially the Swiss Army knife of the motoring world. They're practical. They're not too expensive to run. They offer performance. They are a jack of all trades, and I still maintain the best hot hatch money can buy right now is the FK8 Honda Civic Type R. Yes, it isn't a perfect car. The styling is divisive. I'm not a massive fan of the noise it makes. The interior, I love certain parts of the interior, but other parts are woeful. Touchscreen, touchscreen. Sorry, I don't know what came over me there. Um, yeah, I don't like the fact that the Civic Type R is a two-seater in the rear and it doesn't have three seats because you could potentially fit three adults in there, but for whatever reason, Honda's got no. You can only put two people in there. There's just two seat belts. So, but do I really want to say it's the best car I've ever reviewed? It's not. Let's not say the Civic Type R isn't worthy enough, but yeah. Um, Yeah. Sorry to kind of give you a kind of meh kind of answer, but I just wanted to be honest. It's difficult. It really is a difficult one to answer. I've had the Audi S6 van, and I thought that was amazing. I'm not normally the type of person that gets drawn in by performance estates. But a good friend of the channel, Pocket Rockets, he loves a performance estate, and I wouldn't say I never quite understood the appeal because that would be wrong and mad. But I've never really gotten into it. But when I had the S6 van, I was like, wow, I could get used to this, and I fell in love with it more than I thought I would. Because quite often fast Audis they can be a bit too safe, a bit numb. But the S6, it was a firecracker to the point where you'd think to yourself, do you even need an RS6? I'll move on to the next question from Andy once more. What are you doing to keep yourself occupied during the lockdown? So, for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that aren't based in the UK, the UK is currently on a 3-week lockdown. So, in essence, we can only go out if we are going to work, if we can't work from home, to exercise once a day, to look after someone who's vulnerable, or to get food or medicine. So basically essential tasks. So so we are. It's quite strict on that. But there are the they are they are a minority of people who aren't really taking things seriously. You may have seen the video of people sunbathing yesterday, and there's also I saw reports that there were a group of lads having a football match in Surrey, and there's also been street racing as well. So which I don't condone. So yeah, but anyway, I'm digressing. What have I been doing? Well, I mentioned this on my Instagram and also on my Facebook yesterday. Now, granted, this is not a great time, and particularly for those who are self-employed, a lot of uncertainty. Um, but think of it this way: how often are you going to get an opportunity like this again? Now, some of you may think opportunity. That's a bit of an optimistic word, but what I mean is we are forced to stay at home. whether we like it or not. So why not do something good with this time? Why not try to make yourself a better person, or to learn a new skill, or to do those jobs you've been putting off for however long? So, I urge people to make good out of this rubbish time. Make it productive. Try and come out of this 3 weeks, or however long it may be, 3 weeks minimum. Try and come out of this and actually have achieved something. I can't stress that enough, because I think this is a potential opportunity to do something good. But in regard to what I've been doing, I've been trying to help the wife out more with housework, because bless her, she does a lot of it. Granted, she works less hours than I do, but I should probably make more of an effort to do things around the flat. I won't lie. So I'm trying to help Patsy out more with bits, and trying to make sure she's not doing everything. Um, I want to spend more time learning how I can grow the channel on YouTube, and try learn new skills or hacks, like life hacks, that sort of thing, in regard to the channel. Trying to improve the channel to give you guys the best content I possibly can. And don't get me wrong, I've been watching the odd box set here and now. I watched a film earlier, and playing a bit of PlayStation, but I don't really want to fall into the trap of just wasting my time away, just sat on the sofa, just glued to the TV, or the PlayStation. So I do want to try and do something productive, and I want to read some books. But I love reading. It sounds really sad, but whenever I go abroad, one of the things I look forward to is just sitting in a nice sunny spot and reading a book. I know it makes me sound terribly boring, and it makes me sound like I'm more like 59 and not 29, but it's true. So yeah, I do want to do some reading whilst we are in this enforced lockdown. But yeah, just try to do something productive. I think that's my biggest advice for you. Right, I have another question from Pat Kenrick. What was your overall opinion of the Citroen C5 Aircross? Seriously considering buying one, automatic diesel? It is a very good car. It is extremely comfortable, really, really, really comfortable. But after all, it is a Citroen. It's kind of what the brand is famous for. It's spacious as well. I think it's quite a good looking car. So yeah, I would recommend it. I think you're probably wise going for the automatic, because in my experience, the manual gearboxes that the PSA group produce aren't particularly good. They're quite notchy, and they're not that pleasurable to use. So yeah, I would probably go for the automatic. Diesel is an interesting choice, because obviously diesel is starting to fall out of fashion. Car manufacturers are kind of slowly phasing out their diesel options. I know manufacturers such as Suzuki, they don't have any diesel. They don't have any diesel engines in any of their ranges in the UK. So yeah, that's quite quite a powerful message. Car manufacturers are moving more away from diesel, and diesel's a funny one, because one minute it's a good thing, then it's a bad thing, and it seems like particularly the government can't make its mind up on whether people should be going out and buying diesel cars, or whether they shouldn't. There was once upon a time when diesels were relatively favourable, but not so much now. But yeah, C5 Aircross, I think it is a good car. Weird thing is, I don't see many of them about. I don't know whether it's because of badge snobbery. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's not often I see them out. But it's not to say it's a bad car. Personally, if it were my money, I'd probably get like a Seat Taraka or something like that. But yeah, if you want a big, comfortable SUV, then you can't go wrong. Dave, I hope I've pronounced that correct because it's got an I in it. It's confused me. Dave, 1988. I have another bizarre question for you, sir. Here we go. Regarding the new Suzuki Jimny, which I first saw yourself review, I've had mine about 3 weeks now. I did have the old Jimny before. Okie dokie. What's your question? More than happy to answer your question, but I'm not too sure what your question is, my friend. Oh, here we go. Did you notice? Put your teeth back in, Aaron. Did you notice at all much backlash from the transmission slash prop shaft when taken up gear, etc.? No, but I would say the gearbox is quite noisy. But I like that because it kind of sounds like an old rally car in that respect. I wouldn't say I had any backlash per se, but you do definitely hear the gearbox. And I'm trying to dig into my memory banks now. From memory, I think when I did change gear in it, there was you could kind of feel it changing gear, if that makes sense. You could feel the mechanicals at work. But pardon me, would I say there was a backlash? No, not that I can remember. Yeah, I'll just have someone else. I would love to have a beer in my hand, but I haven't got any. And let's face it, that's not really an essential item. Although some would argue it is. So I've not gone out to get any because I'm only really going out unless I need to. I want to clean my cars, but there's a part of me that thinks, is that socially ethical? Probably not. I don't need to go out and wash my cars, so I'm not going to for the time being. Any more questions, guys? I'm aiming to. Sorry, that's a really ugly noise. I do apologise. Just, yeah, I do aim to be on here for about an hour or so. That's how long my Q&As normally last. But I think I did one Q&A, which is like an hour and a half. It was fantastic. It's one of those ones where questions kept coming in. And in the end, I was kind of having to cut people short because like, whoa, I really must go now. Otherwise, I'm never going to leave. So yes, but yeah. Once more, thank you so much for your support. It's been fantastic, and I don't want to sound cheesy or cliche, but without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to have some of the experiences I've had. I've driven some fantastic cars. A question from Sheldon Greaves: Will you be reviewing the new electric Honda, the little city one? What's it called? The Honda E, isn't it? I've got no plans to, but I really, 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 really want to because I think it is a fantastic looking thing. The moment I saw it, I thought, oh, I want to drive it. I want to drive it so much. So hopefully at some point, I will get the chance to test it. Obviously, now with the current situation, that has thrown quite a large spanner into the works, not only for the automotive industry, but for industries over the world, particularly healthcare industries and that kind of thing. For example, sorry to kind of segue away from that for a few moments. Just a quick update in case you guys don't know. I had 3 cars booked in my calendar to review. So I had the brand new Vauxhall Corsa, the new Peugeot 208, and the Ford Puma. All 3 cars, sadly, have been cancelled. Well, postponed. So I will get to review them at some point, but not now because of the coronavirus outbreak. So I'm confident I will test the Honda E at some point, but will it be this year? Honestly, I don't think so. But fingers crossed I get to drive it because I think it looks amazing. A few more questions. Lovely, thank you. Paul Irons, do you miss the Audi RS6 you tested? So it wasn't the RS6, it was the S6. So I did touch upon this a little bit earlier. The S6 I thought was a cracking car, and yeah, I became more attached to it than I thought I would. Because I was a little bit underwhelmed by the Audi TTS. Now I know the TTS and the S6, they are two very different cars. One's a sports car, or as one guy tried to argue with me, it's not a sports car, it's a sports coupe. But that to me is kind of the same thing. Anyway, the internet has some interesting opinions on all manners and all matters. Lost my train of thought. The S6. Yeah, but I was quite underwhelmed by the TT, but then the S6, it just felt more. I'm not going to say visceral because it still feels quite safe, but it feels more alive. I think it's a good way of putting it. So maybe visceral could be the right word, but the TTS felt quite safe, quite numb, quite subdued. Now, I think one of the biggest reasons for that, so both cars have got the Quattro system, albeit in different variants. So in the TTS, that's got the Haldex system, so the same all-wheel drive system you get in the Volkswagen Golf R. So predominantly, for the most part, it is actually front-wheel drive. It's only when things get a bit more hairy and the car needs more grip that it sends power to the rear and it becomes all-wheel drive, which is good, but it means that the car doesn't feel very. I'm trying to think of the right word. I was going to say loose. That's not the right word. But the car just feels a little bit too predictable in the corners. Whereas for the S6, it's got the proper Quattro system. So if needs be, it can send the majority of the power to the front or to the rear. And the way how it transfers its power is much more flexible. So it means that given the right amount of throttle, you can get the back out a little bit, which is quite laugh-inducing when you bear in mind the car's almost 2 tons. Right, thoughts of Honda doing a new S2000? Is that something they've confirmed, or are you just saying should they make another Honda S2000? In regard to should they? Yes, why not? You know what? To this point, I have never driven a Honda S2000. I'd love to. I'd really love to, but just quite. I've never got around to it. But yeah, I think Honda. I think Honda need to make more sporty cars. They've got the Civic Type R, of course, but the days of the Integra Type R and the S2000, they're long gone. It just feels like Honda just make kind of boring practical cars. Which don't get me wrong, there is an audience for that. The CRV has got a fantastically loyal fan base and customer base. The amount of old CRVs I see knocking about where the same owners had it for years is incredible. I think the Honda CRV has got a really strong, loyal fan base, but Honda don't make a lot of exciting things. Okay, I've just realised I've forgotten to mention the NSX, of course, but that has since its launch, the reviews have been a little bit mixed on it. I don't think it's quite. I don't think it's going to be as iconic as the original NSX. Let's put it that way. So just looking at the comments here. Any more questions have come in? Cheers, brother. It's more sort of a clunk as you take up drive, if you get me, as the prop shaft connects with the transfer box. Just one of the Jimny's little quirks, I'd imagine. Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about it. Obviously, if the noise gets worse or becomes more prominent, take it to your local dealership or local garage. But yeah, to be honest with you, I think that's just one of its little foibles because the Jimny is a quirky car, but quirky in a good way. I love the new Jimny, whereas the previous Jimny, that is one of very, very, very few cars that I was looking forward to giving it back. I was not a fan of the previous Jimny, and a lot of people weren't a fan of my review on it. So the irony is that's one of my best that's one of my highest viewed videos. Yeah, it's also one of my least unpopular. Work that one out. The London car scene giving me a wave. I'll wave back. Hello. Hope you're keeping safe. Yeah. Right, let's see if any more questions come in. So I'm just having a few moments to shut up for a few moments. I've just been literally rambling on like I do. So it's nice to have a few moments of silence. I'm sure you guys feel the same. But I do enjoy these Q&As. By the way, do let me know if the audio is a bit of an issue, because I've got a little gauge down here which tells me how strong the audio is. And it looks like the audio is a bit quiet. So if it is quiet, let me know. I do have a potential solution. Not very high tech, but I do have like a hands-free sort of thing here, and that I can use if need to be. I did try to get my clip-on microphone to work, but it appears it's not, for whatever reason, not compatible with my laptop. So I would much prefer to do it with a clip-on microphone, because I'd be clearer. You'd have less of the echo that I have in here, and it just, it would just sound a bit more professional. But hey, the reduction doesn't need to be that much for a live Q&A, does it? So I shouldn't really, concern myself too much with such things. But I'd like to ask you guys a question. Well, probably two questions. What would you like to see more of the channel, and what would you do to improve it? Now, hitting 10,000 subscribers is a fantastic achievement. But ever since November last year, it feels like the channel has slowed right down. It's kind of plateaued, and it feels like the growth I was having has kind of stopped. Things are starting to pick up a little bit. At first, I thought, okay, it must be because it's getting nearer Christmas that things have kind of dropped off a little bit. But then January came, and then February came, and things are still quite slow. Things did kind of pick up a little bit towards the end of February, maybe a little bit before then, actually. But yeah, if there's anything you guys think could improve the channel, or maybe some new ideas, maybe some new content ideas, or maybe there's something you've seen on a similar channel that you'd like to see me do my own version of, if that makes sense, let me know, guys, because at the end of the day, it's good to get your feedback as an audience, because if I know what sort of things you're looking for, I can cater for you as best as I can. Now, obviously, not everything I do is going to be relevant or enjoyable to watch for all of my audience. I appreciate there's some parts of my audience that like a particular type of car or particular genre, and there's others that like something else. So, I fully appreciate you can't please everyone all of the time. You simply can't. It's impossible. I think in the past, that's one thing I've forgotten, that no matter what you do in life, there will be someone that simply doesn't like it. And that's not always a reflection of you or what you're doing. It's just preference, and you will find there are some people that will just not like someone, and there won't be any reason behind it. I know a good friend of the channel, Steph AB, he's done really well for his channel, so hats off to him. He has people that will actively go to his brand new video and click the thumbs down button. What's that about? What these people think they're achieving? Do you really think Steph's going to look at that and go, "Oh well, 5 people have given me a thumbs down. I'm going to stop making videos"? At little people. Yeah, thank you, mate. Another message from the London car scene. Just keep going, mate. You're doing good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think sometimes, actually, I was going to apply it to YouTube, but it applies to life. I think sometimes you just have to keep going. You have to keep turning up. You have to keep knocking on the metaphorical door and eventually, someone will open it. It may take days, it may take weeks, it may take months, it may take years. Timing is everything, and sometimes it's all about being at the right place at the right time. Junior 11, how is quarantine? It feels surreal, but because I've accepted it, it's a case of right. I think for some people, because there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment. I think a lot of people are just thinking themselves into ruts or into slumps, and I think you have to just accept the situation. There's very little we can do to change it. All we can really do is do our bit by staying at home. And I know that point has been hammered home by many people, and you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but it's true. The best thing we can do as a nation, as a planet, really, is to stay home where possible. How difficult is that? If anything, that should be one of the easiest things to do in life. Just stay at home in your pajamas and not have to go out. It boggles my mind. It really does boggle my mind why some people can't grasp that very, very, very simple concept. But hey, you just can't help some people. You can only help people if they're willing to help themselves. That's the way how I see things in life. But but for me, quarantine is fine. I'm trying to keep myself as busy as possible. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not the greatest situation alive, but we've got to do what we've got to do. We just need to take as much stress off our healthcare system as possible. And on that note, for your sake, Junior 11, I do hope you get well very soon, and just look after yourself, and just be very mindful about your actions, because the scientists are still trying to truly understand this virus. But one thing that has been said is it's very easy to transmit it onto other people. Just look after yourself. But yeah, no. What I was going to say was, a massive thank you to those in the NHS. Actually, no, not just the NHS, just key workers in general, because as much as the NHS has taken a lot of strain for what's going on, don't forget there's other industries that need to keep going to keep the planet moving. Postmen, public transport workers, that kind of supermarket workers. I think some people would assume that working in a supermarket is not a particularly important job. Well, guess what? At this moment in time, it bloody well is. So, yeah, a massive thank you to not only the NHS but the key workers for helping this country keep moving forward as best as it possibly can. Because I imagine some people are working all the hours God sent. So yeah, a massive thank you. Big up, respect to those people who are continuing to put in a lot of hours to help the country. So yeah, a massive thank you. So if you know someone that's in the NHS, massive heartfelt thank you goes out to them, because what they're doing is life saving, literally saving lives. So Junior 11, he says his mum and dad are in the NHS, which is fantastic. But obviously, you don't need me to tell you, but obviously for their sake, just trying to make sure they keep in good health, because that's one danger we have at the moment is people in the NHS falling ill to this virus, and then all of a sudden we have a shortage of healthcare staff and an influx of patients. So it's going to get to a point where it might the ratio might come upside down. You have all these ill people and not enough people to treat them. But yeah, Um, yeah, sorry to bang on about the coronavirus. It's not. I didn't really want it to be such a prominent topic in this Q&A, but at this moment in time, it is a difficult topic to avoid. So, but I do want to try and keep things motoring related if possible. So, obviously, that's why the channel is here. How do I feel about the football being cancelled, mate? At the end of the day, that's the least concern about. I'm quite a big football fan, but it is what it is. Is football essential? No, it is entertainment. So it needs to be cancelled. You can't have thousands upon thousands of people turning up to a stadium to watch 22 lads kick a football around, or 22 women kick a football around. There's much more important things that's at stake here. So yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't like to see the football being cancelled because it's been quite a good season, not particularly from an Arsenal perspective. That's who I follow, but it has been a good season, and Liverpool, to their credit, have absolutely smashed it. So, I do hope for Liverpool's sake that there were talks about this season becoming null and void. I think, well, why? Why does it need to? Bearing in mind, we'd played about 3/4 of the season, give or take. It's a case of, why not just end the season where we are now? We were relatively close to the season finishing anyway, so why feel the need to go, oh, that's it, just cancel it, doesn't matter? Obviously, I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but imagine how unfair that would be to Liverpool FC. They've put all that hard work in, they've essentially run away with the title, and to be told, oh yeah, all that hard work you did, no, sorry, it doesn't count because of COVID-19. Sorry, that's how it is. How massively unfair would that be? Yeah, when I saw that news, I was like, are they for real? How can he just turn around and be like, oh yeah, well, this might not matter? So, message from Nick. Hello all, currently parked in an industrial estate in Runcorn, trucking on, keeping the country going. You, sir, you are a legend. It's people like you that, I was saying thank you to a few moments ago for keeping the country going, because it's not just that, the NHS, like I said, that are playing an important role in regard to what's going on. Because if we don't have lorry drivers, shipping supplies around the country, then how are we going to get food into our supermarkets? How are the NHS going to get supplies? Now, I know the army's helping out with certain areas of that as well, but we need people like lorry drivers to keep moving stuff around and make sure the logistics of what's going on can happen. So yeah, absolutely, Nick. Thank you very much for doing what you're doing. What sort of work do you do, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to say. I'm just interested. Can you give us a house tour? I can do, but to be honest, it's going to be more faff than it's worth, to be honest. If I had a webcam where I could spin you around, then I would. But the webcam I'm using is inbuilt into the laptop. That's why the quality isn't that good. I think trying to flip you guys around and trying to do that, it's just going to be awkward. I liked your Cornish pasty video. Yeah, that was an interesting one, because what I really want to do with my car reviews now is do something a little bit different where possible. As much as there is value to be had in a kind of bog standard car review, I want to make them a bit more entertaining. I want to do something different, and that's why I had the somewhat harebrained idea in the Audi S4 that I would drive to Cornwall and back, because I thought, granted, MPG is not the best test of an S4, but it is diesel after all, and it is an estate. So, it could well be the sort of car that spends a lot of its time on a motorway or on a dual carriageway, munching up many, many miles at one given time. So I suppose there is an air of relevance in the video, but I just thought, okay, well, theoretically, I can go around 500 miles on a tank. I looked at where I could get to. Originally, I was going to see how far I could drive on one tank, literally one way. But I thought, well, that's stupid because 500 miles from here would take me into Scotland, and to drive to Scotland in one day, that's going to take me hours. I know that because I drove from Elgin in Scotland to a hospice in South London, and that took me. Oh, dearie me, how long did that take me? I want to say 13 hours. Now, don't get me wrong, that was with stops, but obviously, if you're driving that amount of distance, you kind of have to stop at least once. Otherwise, you're going to fall asleep at the wheel, which is no good for anyone. So, yeah, I thought about, okay, I could drive to Scotland. I thought, hang on, I've then got to pay for a hotel, and then I've then got to pay for another tank of diesel. And I thought, well, I don't really have the money for this. So I thought, okay, let me do 500 miles, but as a round trip. So I thought, okay, I need somewhere that's around 250 miles away from where I am now. I was kind of looking at Google Maps and looking at the sort of places that I can get to, and I thought, okay, Cornwall. Why not Cornwall? It's a nice part of the world, and I picked Truro as that was about 250 miles away. So that's kind of how that video came about. A crazy idea, but one that I enjoyed doing. And you know what? The S4 made really light work of that journey. The journey there and the journey back certainly didn't feel as long as they were. So credit to the S4. So yeah. Message from Nick. Bulk tipper work mostly. Animal feed was due to take delivery of a new Kia Exceed on Tuesday, but it has been cancelled. Yeah, that's the problem at the moment. A lot of things which are non-essential are being cancelled. There's a few things that I'm looking to do. I'm not going to say too much because I've got some potential projects in the pipeline. I don't want to say anything now because A, it would ruin the surprise, and B, I don't want to give you hope that something's going to happen and it doesn't. So yeah, there's a few things I've wanted to do, and coronavirus has put that on hold, which is disheartening. But what can I do about it? Literally nothing. What is my real name? My real name is Aaron, spelled with 2 A's and 1 R. It's funny. The older I get, the more variants of Aaron there appear to be. Now I swear, when I was younger, there was 2 ways to spell Aaron. There was Aaron or Aron, and now the amount of different ways I see my name spelled is almost laughable. So I've had it spelled Arun, Aran, Arron, Arran. I'm sure Aaron has to be the name that has got the most different amount of variants on it, on how to spell it, and it is quite annoying. If anything, I kind of wish that my middle name was my first name. My first name is Mike. So, oh my God, my middle name is Michael. Not only did I get that part wrong, I also said Mike instead of Michael. Why did I say Mike? Weird. But yeah, my middle name is Michael, and that's a lot easier because I could be Michael or Mike. Whereas with Aaron, when I speak to people on the phone, the people say to me, people think I say Alan. So I go, okay, cheers, Alan. No, it's Aaron. Oh, no, hang up. Nick's come back. I'm classed as a key worker, but Evan's house short are not very helpful. Ordered it through Select on a great deal. Okay. And apparently my real name is Benny. I'm pretty sure the last time I looked at my passport, it did say Aaron. But you've now given me you've maybe second guessed my thought. You've maybe second guessed my thoughts. So I'd have to check my passport once we're done. But pretty sure it's Aaron the last time I checked. Yeah, like I said, yeah, coronavirus has affected my plans, but it has affected a lot of people's plans. So, I'm not going to sit here and complain or whine or moan that it's happened, because everyone's in the same boat. I think it's what we need to remember. Everyone, everyone is in the same kind of situation. Obviously, it's better for some than it is others. But yeah, we just need to pull through this together, really. Just make sure I've not missed any comments. So I just having a look to make sure I'm not missing anything. No, okay. So yeah, if you guys have got any more questions for me, I will hang about for a bit longer. Been going for about 47 minutes now. In regard to what videos you can expect to see on the channel in the next few weeks, for once, I haven't actually got that many videos in my backlog. So I want to stagger them as much as I can, because let's face it, I can't really film anything in the next 3 weeks or so. I could film 1 or 2 bits here in my flat, but it's not really going to be the same, is it? So I'd rather bring you content that's going to be meaningful or that adds value, as opposed to just making a video just to fill a gap. So there will, I'd argue, inevitably be a period where the channel will go a little bit quiet. I've sat down today and worked out what videos I've got left to edit, and then I'm going to try and set a time frame of when I get those videos out to you. So I think what you probably looking at maximum 2 videos a week, maybe even a little less than that. So I've got my Fiesta track day video to do, which I almost forgot about, to be honest. I've got the Ford Fiesta trend review, the Honda HR-V Sport review. I filmed with a set Ibiza Cupra the other day, so I've got that to do. So yeah, not that many videos. I feel like I've forgotten a video. I can't think of what it is. But yeah, the upshot is I don't have that much to edit at this moment in time. So you may find that it may fall down to 1 video a week, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. I'm sure there are other YouTubers or creators in a similar kind of boat. They're trying to ration the content they do have. So just so that they have enough to put up. Obviously, once the lockdown is over, for those of you that don't know, in the UK it is a minimum of 3 weeks. It could be longer, and personally, I think it may be a little bit longer. Not that much longer, but I do think it will be longer than 3 weeks. But I don't think it's going to be an overly long time. Yeah, so once we are out of that lockdown, there's still going to be a period where there's not going to be that much content, because, as I mentioned earlier, all of the cars I was meant to be reviewing have been cancelled. So once we do come out of lockdown, there's going to be, as you can imagine, the press offices are going to be inundated with inquiries. So it may take a bit of time to get cars booked back in, if you catch my drift. So I'd probably film with my own cars, as much as I can. Like I said, I do have some. I do have some plans. Well, as I say plans, I do have some potential things I want to do, but I don't know whether they're going to be possible yet. I need to see how things are going to pan out. So I'm relying on one thing, I'm relying on one thing to happen before the next thing can happen. It's kind of like a domino effect. I need the first domino to fall over, if that makes sense. Um, have I done the Audi A7? No, I haven't actually. No. Um, no, I've not done the A7. I've done the A5. I've done the S6, but not done the A7. Kieran says, "Hey fella, hey to you back. I hope you're keeping well. I hope you're staying safe in this tricky time." No, not done the A7 actually. I've done a few of Audi's cars. I've done the A1, the TTS. I haven't done the A3. I'd quite like to do the A3. S3 would be even better. RS3 would be amazing, but I'm yet to get my hands on any of Audi's RS products. So I've done the TTS and the S4, and the S6, of course, but not done any of the RS range. Have I got kids? Nope, I haven't got kids. Haven't got kids. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what happens for the rest of this year. Very uncertain times. Yeah, the RS range is good. It is fantastic. I drove the TT RS about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was amazing. You drive it and you think, why would you feel the need to pay the extra for an R8? Yes, I know the R8 has got a much bigger engine, it's more powerful, but in real world conditions, is the R8 really going to feel that much faster than a TTRS? Probably not. In all honesty, probably not. I have driven an R8, but that was a brief period, and that R8 was the previous generation. Was it the facelift version of the previous generation? I don't think it was actually. I think it might have been the pre-facelift Mark II. But did I film that? See, this was so long ago. This was back. You know what? I think this might have been back in 2016. And if it was, it wouldn't have been filmed. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the pre-facelift Mark II. But yeah, that was an incredible car. But yeah, like I say, in real world conditions, the TTRS is plenty. So my phone, my watch has just vibrated. Yeah. The thing is, on the public roads, you don't really need that much power. I remember Shmi 150 a long time ago. He said in one of his videos that for the public road, 400 horsepower is pretty much all you need, and I'd agree with him. And if anything, probably 300 horsepower or 350 horsepower is more than enough for the public road. So I think that's one reason why I couldn't feel the need to justify owning a supercar. There's a certain part of me that has become somewhat desensitized to supercars. They're great and everything, but they're expensive to run. They're going to be expensive to fuel, to tax, to insure. You're going to panic every time you park it somewhere in case someone keys it or dings it. You know what? I think if I owned a supercar, I'd find it simply too much stress. Obviously, if I had loads of money, it's a different kind of scenario, but it makes me laugh when people will buy a premium car or a prestigious car and they can't afford to run it. I can't go into details too much, but because again, this is where I work, but we had one customer who had he had a performance SUV. I'm not going to say the brand or anything, and he basically wanted us to put like not budget tires on it, but cheap tires on it. And you think, why? You've got a performance SUV with all this power, um, and you want to put like cheaper tires on it. Yeah, I was flabbergasted. But yeah, it makes me laugh when people buy these cars and then they realise that they can't afford to run them properly. Um, Suzuki have stopped making diesel cars. Do you think others will follow? It's funny you say that, Kieran, because that was something I mentioned earlier on before you arrived. Yeah, inevitably, car manufacturers will stop making diesels. When that would be, well, I say when that would be, probably be by 2030. Because originally the plan was that all new petrol and diesel cars would be stopped by 2040, and then a few weeks ago, or maybe a few months ago, that's actually been brought forward to 2030. And I don't agree with that move, not because I'm a petrol head and I want to drive it everywhere on the limiter and go sideways. No, I'm speaking more from a practical point of view. And what I mean by that is more and more people are buying electric cars, which I've got no objection to. Good on them. If they want to, try and bring down their carbon footprint, then fine, why not? However, what I find somewhat disconcerting is, if you look at the stats for the last year or so. Bye, Junior 11. Thank you so much for joining us. What I sorry, I lost my train of thought. If you look at the figures of how much the electric car market has spiked in the last year or so, but the infrastructure is not able to catch up with it. And I did a video with the Nissan Leaf last year, and I tried to Junior 11 has come back. I tried to approach it with the most open mind possible, and I basically did like a diary. Petrolhead lives with an electric car, and I try to be as fair and objective as I can be. But it makes me laugh when people, you get some EV owners and they're very passionate, and I like passion. But at the same time, sometimes this passion can not so much cloud their judgment, but how can I put it? It kind of makes them blind to other people's points or opinions or arguments. So, I had someone say to me, oh, well, did you know there's more charging points in the UK compared to petrol stations? Well, that may be the case, but I think what people have to appreciate is not every charger is going to be a fast charger. And some of the chargers that this guy was probably referring to, he may not have known this. Some chargers are private, or they're on private land. So how does he know that that chargers that aren't made accessible to the public aren't being included in that number? I don't mean people who have them at home. I mean businesses that have electric charging points for their employees, but obviously Joe Blogs can just roll in off the street and use it. And the thing is, with electric cars, I know the charging times are getting better and the ranges are getting better, but I had to make this point to someone the other day who were being a bit narrow-minded, let's say. When you run out of diesel, or when you're about to run out of diesel or petrol, it's not that difficult to find your nearest fuel station. You can fill up and be out of there in about 5 or 10 minutes. It's a very quick, efficient process. However, compared to electric cars, you have to find a charging point, make sure it's the right one, the right kind of voltage for what you need, and you have to make sure you can get there, and then you have to wait for it to charge. If it's not a fast charger, you could be waiting there for a long time. And the thing is, I think some people don't appreciate that I've actually lived with an electric car, albeit for a brief period, and I can speak from experience here. I think some EV owners forget that. I think they just look at me and think, oh, he's a young petrol head. He's into his performance cars. He's not willing to give electric cars, a chance, which is completely wrong. So, a great example. I had the Nissan Leaf, as I mentioned earlier. I drove that from Junior 11. Yeah, I've done electric cars. I've done the Nissan Leaf. I've done the Kia e-Niro and the Hyundai Kona Electric. So I drove from where I used to live in South London. I drove to Bracknell to pick up fellow YouTuber driving with Nico. Then we went up to Stratford-upon-Avon to go to Caffeine and Machine. Now, theoretically, I can't remember all of the figures off the top of my head, but in theory, I should have got there with 40 miles, well, at least 40 miles of range left. Now, granted, it was cold at the time, and cold weather does have an effect on batteries and makes them less efficient. And I was driving with Nico and also my wife, so I was carrying passengers. But we got there, and I think I had 6 miles left of range, and that was proper bum clenching, because in that area there was just one charging point, which was at a local hotel. That was about 2 or 3 miles away. Now imagine the kind of crap I would have been in if I went to that hotel and the charging points were either in use, therefore I'd have to wait, or worse still, they were out of service. My next charging point from there, how far away was it? I think it was like 20, 25 miles. Now, compare it to a petrol station. If you go to a petrol station and for whatever reason it's closed, I would like to think that your next nearest petrol station is not going to be around 25 miles away. Now, I know that comparison isn't the strongest one, bearing in mind that if you go into London, if one charging point is out of service in London, you won't have to travel another 25 miles to the next one. But hopefully you see my point. But sorry, I kind of digressed onto electric cars, which I often do on live Q&As, because electric cars are quite a hot topic, not as hot as COVID-19, of course, but yeah, I do feel quite strongly on electric cars, because I think it's all too easy for owners to kind of not so much have a blind faith in them, but I think they need to recognise that electric cars, they're not going to fit into everyone's lifestyle. I think before you purchase an electric car, you have to make sure it's going to fit in with your life and your demands. For example, an electric car to me would be pointless. That's a bit harsh maybe, but it wouldn't be of benefit because I can't charge it at home, and I can't charge it at my work either. So that means I have to, whenever it needs charging, I'd have to go to my local supermarkets. There's charging points there. And okay, granted, I could leave it on charge whilst I go and do some shopping. So it wouldn't be that inconvenient, but it would be, it'd be inconvenient enough to warrant not buying the vehicle. Anyway, I had a few comments come in, so I will address those. If you ever felt the urge to do any older cars at all, you should try and get hold of the old Vauxhall Frontera. The press said they were a load of beep, but I had to and couldn't fault them. I think, didn't Car Throttle do something with a Frontera? Or did I make that up? I could have sworn they did. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. No, I don't know. The thing is, there is a part of me that would like to emulate what Car Throttle do, i.e., buying cheap cars. But obviously, for that, you need a budget. And the thing is, normally with Car Throttle, although the cars are a bit of bangers, they're normally in quite good running order. Now, I know my kind of luck. I'll end up buying a car that is just a load of crap, and I'm going to have difficulty selling it on, and I'm going to, significantly lose money, and that's not how I want to run the channel. This channel is run on a very strict budget, almost no budget at all. But I would like to do things like that. Yeah, it would be quite cool. I do have an idea that I'd want to do with pocket rockets at some point, but it's just a case of getting the money to do to do what we want to do. And also, we need to wait for this uncertainty of coronavirus to go past us. Andrew W. There needs to be a lot more charge points. Some might say a lot more than petrol pumps due to the time it takes to charge. 5 minutes to fill up, 30 minutes if you are very lucky to charge. Yeah, exactly, Andrew. That touch. That touches on my point. Yeah. No matter what way you look at it, going to a petrol station and filling up in 5 minutes is more convenient than going to an electric charge point and waiting at least 13 minutes. Just how it is. I should do the Honda NSX. I'd like to, but it's difficult to get a hold of those kind of cars. No good if you're on Safari with electric cars. No, not unless it's a really short Safari. Yeah. No, well, I suppose you could take a Tesla on a Safari. They've got decent range. Don't think it'd last that long once the animals start ripping into it, but never mind. How do you get the money for so many cars? Well, I've got 3 cars. It's not that many. Granted, it's more than most, but I think those cars aren't exactly expensive either. So it's they're all relatively cheap cars, apart from the Civic, of course. That was quite expensive. But in regards to how do I get money, it's just money I earn. They're not particularly expensive cars, and they're not particularly expensive to maintain either. Thankfully, well, I say that my Mark II MX-5, that's cost me an arm and a leg, but obviously that was mostly self-inflicted. What's my favourite video? What do you mean, the video I've done, or video someone else has made? I suppose it doesn't really matter which, because both questions are going to be very difficult to answer. Well, hopefully you mean one of my videos, because that will be a little bit easier to answer, but at the same time, it's still going to be quite tricky because I've made a video I've done. It's difficult because let me have a quick look at my channel, because I think I've done almost 400 videos, so it's very difficult to pick one out of that. How many videos have I done? That's useful. It doesn't tell me on this one, but yeah, I've done a lot of videos. I've done well over 300. I'm trying to think how many I've actually done, but yeah, it must be getting near to 400. So to pick one out of that is really difficult, because it's nigh on impossible. I have to be honest. Just going through my videos now, and trying to pick one out of that lot is just really tricky. There's some videos I love more than others for different kind of reasons. So just trying to work out how many videos I have actually done. The laptop's now making a bit of noise. So it's trying to load things. Favorite video, almost impossible to answer. I've got to be honest. And the amount of videos I've done is just crazy. It's over 400. Okay, I got that one completely wrong. I've actually made. I can't believe I'm saying this, by the way. According to this, I've made 474 videos. That is insane. I didn't realise it was that many. What am I drinking? It's just Diet Coke. Yeah, so trying to pick a favourite video out of nigh on 500 videos is it's too tricky for me to do right here, right now. I have to be honest. I'm sorry, I'm gonna duck out of that question somewhat, because yeah, very difficult to answer that. But yeah, what I love about the channel is the variety. One week I could be driving a V8 Mustang, the next week it could be a little Suzuki Celerio, and that's one thing I love most about the channel, is that there's a variety. And in some respects, maybe that goes against me in the fact that my audience doesn't really know what to expect next, I suppose. But I quite like doing it that way. I don't want to focus. For example, as much as I love hot hatches, I think it might be wearing for some if all I did was hot hatches. Don't get me wrong. You give them the choice. I'd love to just focus on that genre of car. But I like to switch things up. My favorite is the Xenos E10S Mini. Wow, that is really going back. That was one of my first videos. Actually, that is my first review as such. Obviously not my greatest review because I was starting out, and I didn't really show you much of the car in the video. From memory, I think there was only one angle in that video. It was only 4 minutes long, actually. I had a great time filming it, don't get me wrong, but let's mute it. Yeah, so in the whole of this video, it's just one angle, which is not how I'd make a video nowadays, but yeah. Yeah, that was almost 4 years ago I made that video. Crazy. It doesn't feel like that long ago. Yeah. Crazy. So it's crazy how far I've come on this journey. And yeah, a lot has happened in the last 4 years or so. And hopefully there's much more to come. Yeah, just crazy. Obviously, this year won't be as busy now because of what's happening. It'd be interesting to see when normality kicks back in. Yeah. Right, any more comments? No, there's been quite a few comments, quite a few questions. I was expecting Pocket Rockets to show his face and to ask 1 or 2 questions, but he's obviously otherwise engaged. Inconsiderate so-and-so. How do you choose what car to review next? To be honest, Kieran, it's mostly based on what's available at the time. Because I may have 10,000 subscribers, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm still a small YouTuber. Well, I'd like to think I'm a small YouTuber. And when you've got the massive magazines like Top Gear or Autocar, Auto Express, as you can imagine, they take priority over someone like me, because from a car manufacturer's point of view, if you've got your brand new sparkly car, you want to give it, you want to get as much exposure on the car as possible. Are you going to give it to someone like me or someone like Autocar? Of course, you're going to give it to someone like Autocar. They're going to do a very thorough review in it, mind you. I'd like to think my reviews are thorough, but as you can imagine, their audiences are far greater than mine. So sometimes when I contact a press office and say I'd like to review that, they'll probably say, yes, that's fine, but you can't have it until this date. By which point it's a case of I book one car in, and then I have to book another one in, and then I have to try and work out my calendar, because sometimes I can only get a car at certain points, because the press office may say, oh, well, you can have it between this period or this period. At that point, I have to go back to my calendar, make sure I don't double book myself, which I think I've only done once so far, so not too bad. So I do try it. I do try and get the cars that I want to review as soon as possible, but it doesn't always work like that, particularly when it's something quite performance based, like let's say a Ford Fiesta ST. So something like that, I'd have to wait longer to get my hands on it. The Focus ST, for example, I had to wait quite a long time to get my hands on it. But when I did get my hands on it, thankfully I was able to have the petrol version and then the diesel version straight afterwards. So I was able to have two Focus STs back to back, which was fantastic. So yeah, it is really down to availability most of the time. You're an honest reviewer from the general public perspective, which I think helps buyers. You helped me choose my last purchase. Thank you, Kieran. Hopefully you're happy with your purchase. The last thing I want is to recommend a car which you don't like. But yeah, I think when I review cars, I do try my best to try and approach them from someone that may not necessarily be that into cars. I try not to get too technical where possible. Obviously, if it's something like a performance car, obviously you're going to have more petrol heads watching that kind of video. I think in those kind of videos, it's okay to get a bit more technical with things. But my reviews are honest. I have had some people in the past accuse me of bias. And I don't have any bias. I've got no reason to be biased. I've had people accuse me of being paid by the car manufacturers to give them a favourable review, which is nonsense. And I don't think any of the car manufacturers even do that. I sincerely hope they wouldn't. Don't get me wrong. When you go to like a press launch, the car manufacturer, they'll put you up in a nice hotel, give you free drink, and they give you nice food. But I've never heard of a car manufacturer actually paying someone. Say, oh, give a little backhander, give us a good review. But yeah, I have been accused of receiving a backhander from a car manufacturer. Which is ludicrous, because even if I did get offered it, I'd say no. There was one company. I'm not going to say who it was. What sort of thing did it do? Yeah, there's one company that wanted me to review one of their products, and I said, "Oh, can I compare it to another product?" And they said, "Yes, you can, but only if you make the review look better. Only if you make the review look more favourable for our product." I said, "I'm not going to do that. At the end of the day, I'm an honest guy. So if I think this product is better than your product, I'm going to say so. Otherwise, what's the point of doing the review? If I'm going to lie to people, then what I'm doing, it gives no value to anyone." Yeah, I don't understand it. I like to think that I'm as fair and as impartial as possible, because if I'm not, then I'm not really giving you guys any kind of service, am I? If I'm going to tell you a car's good when it isn't, and you buy that car and you hate it, what have I done? I've not helped you at all. And as much as I started the channel to share my passion with like-minded people, at the same time, if I can help people make an informed decision when buying a car, that's fantastic. That does it does make me feel good. And I have had people approach me online and even in person and say, "Oh, yeah, I was looking at this car. I watched your video, and based on your video, I bought it." And so far, each one I've spoken to, they're happy with the car. So that's even better. No, I don't have a channel shop. One or two people have said to me, "Aaron, you should, do merchandise." And to be honest, to this point, I find the route of merchandise one that doesn't seem to be that not viable, that desirable. That's the word I'm looking for, desirable. Because I've had very little demand for any kind of merch. I think, well, I don't really want to put my money into something and have like loads of stock just sitting about. Now, the fact that I've now gone over 10,000 subscribers has changed things. I'm starting to think about these things, but again, I'm in no rush to do it. And I know, I went back to go back to what I was saying earlier about I have some potential not products, some potential projects that I have in mind. Merchandise isn't one of those, and that's the God honest truth. Because at this moment in time, I don't feel as if merchandise would be something that would be worthwhile. I don't want to. I don't want to do something just for the sake of doing it. I'd like to bring out merchandise when I think the time is right. Is the time right now? No. And even if you take coronavirus out of that equation, I still don't think now would be a good time for merchandise, to be honest, because I don't think there's enough demand for it. Although, pardon me, it would be great to have merch. For example, I have one or two people ask me where they can buy this from. This is my trusty car obsession bag, which you have probably seen in some of my videos. And this bag's fantastic. This is really, what I used to like about a lot of my filming stuff in. It's very handy. It's finished in black and red, which are kind of my colours. I've always liked the colour combo of black and red, so it seemed very organic and it seemed appropriate to use it for the channel. So I think it's a nice color combo. But yeah, that bag's fantastic. It's quite sturdy as well. I'll purchase one. Yeah, I've sold it to you. I've sold it to you, and you can't even buy it. But yeah, it would be good to offer merchandise. I think that will come in time. When, I don't know, to be honest. Like I say, the time needs to be right, and I need to make sure I can put in the kind of money that I'd want to. I don't want to go into it half-baked. I want to make sure that I've planned it in advance, that I've set up some kind of business model. Although I'll be completely frank, I'm not the most business-minded person. I don't think I'd make for a very good entrepreneur. But yeah, I'd want to make sure that, to be honest, if I did do merchandise, I'd probably get the help from someone that's actually done it, and someone that can kind of guide me a little bit. But yeah, it's not something I have any plans to do right here, right now. And I just want to stress that isn't part of one of my potential projects that I'm looking to do this year. But yeah, you never know. Things change. The world, especially add some toilet rolls, and you have loads of orders. Yeah. Buy this brand new car obsession bag, and you'll get one free toilet roll with every order. Imagine that. I'd have people banging down my door. I want that toilet roll. I want my toilet roll. What about the bag? Don't want the bag. Just want the toilet roll. But yeah, the toilet roll situation's crazy. I saw a great meme the other day, and that one of my colleagues showed me, and it's basically a picture of a woman in a doctor's office, and it's got like speech bubbles, and it basically says something like, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong, doctor. I don't know why I've still got coronavirus. I did buy 20 rolls of toilet paper, and that tickled me. I know this situation isn't a laughing matter, but at the same time, we do need a bit of humour just to keep our spirits up. I think that's one thing us British are very good at, kind of finding humour in adverse situation. But yeah, obviously, it's a very serious matter. But yeah, we need to kind of get our laughter where we can, and they do say laughter is the best medicine. So I'm all for a bit of banter, a bit of laughter, as long as it's appropriate, of course. I've seen some memes which are very close to the knuckle. You think, oh, that's a bit risque. But yeah. So I just had a comment coming on another video. I'm just going to quickly look at that. Nice positive comment on my Citroen first drive video. It's an old video now. Citroen, that's a good car, that. That is a good question, Kieran. Do you think estate cars are a car of the past? Well, as we all know, SUVs have become so popular ever since the Nissan Qashqai hit the scene back in, 2008, I think it was. I personally think, and I may be wrong, I think SUVs are a bit of a trend. I think at some point they will fall out of favour. Although, like I say, maybe I'm wrong. I do think at some point estate cars will make a return. So if they do, you heard it here first. I think sometimes with cars, I think sometimes there's different fashions and trends. They come and go. I think estates will come back at some point, and I don't know when that will be. But yeah, I don't think estate cars are a thing of the past. I think they've just kind of fallen out of popularity for whatever reason. Okay, yes, SUVs could be, a raised driving position, but let's face it, we've been able to, the world has had motoring for, for years without feeling the need to have that raised up driving position. If you really want that, why not just buy a truck and be done with it? I do think estate cars will come back, certainly. But for them to come back, car manufacturers have to push them a little bit more, and kind of try and get them back into popularity. It does make me wonder what the car market would be like now if the Nissan Qashqai had never have been made. Would there have been another SUV or crossover that would have taken the place of the Qashqai and would have kick-started the SUV craze? Or would the SUV craze had never happened if it wasn't for the Qashqai? Interesting question. Somewhat philosophical, somewhat. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what the car market would look like now if the Qashqai was never made. I don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against the Qashqai. I think it's a good car. Probably not the best use of money for an SUV because the boot isn't the largest. The inside isn't the nicest either. Okay, if you go for the more high spec models, you do get the nice seats which got the kind of the leather that looks like a watch strap. It kind of looks similar to that. But yeah, it does look quite nice. But I just think the Qashqai, for what it is, I do think it's a little bit overrated. Yeah, for sure. If I was on the market for that, I wouldn't buy that. But I wouldn't really buy an SUV unless I really needed to. Delta Dandy, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yes, crossovers, SUVs are bloody nasty. Wouldn't go that far, but yeah. Which car is next to over? Which car is next to do over 300 plus? Do you mean 300 plus horsepower? Is that your question? And when you say which car to do you mean to modify or to review? Just a few uncertainties in that question. Oh, right, I see. Right, I'm with you. Right, which car is next to over 300 miles per hour? Good question. I reckon it'll be some form of Koenigsegg. I think that's probably the brand that's going to do it first, or perhaps Bugatti. But I think if anyone's going to win that race, I think it would probably be Koenigsegg. But yeah, interesting question. Right, so I will start to wrap things up. Although normally when I say that, I go on for I continue on for another half an hour or so. But guys, if you do have any questions and you've not asked them yet, get your questions in now because I will start to wrap up. As you can see, Patsy's now asking if I've forgotten about her. No, I haven't. Oh, she can't hear me. Love you too, darling. She can't hear me. Yeah, so I will start to wrap things up. So if you have any more questions, be sure to fling them through, and I will answer them as best as I can. But yeah, once more, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for helping me to reached the quite monumental milestone of 10,000 subscribers. I really do enjoy these. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, Gassy. Sorry. I really do enjoy these live Q&As. I would love to do them more often, but I think it's going to get to a point where it's going to become a little bit repetitive and a bit tedious. I don't want to wear you guys out with continuous live Q&As. But I suppose if I have a particular topic in mind, as opposed to just coming on here for a chat, then I might be able to give it a bit more value. But no, I do enjoy these Q&As because it's a good chance for us to have an organic, spontaneous conversation that could take us anywhere from coronavirus to electric cars. Thank you, Kieran. Stay safe and keep the great reviews going. Likewise, stay safe, and that message goes out to everybody. You don't need a topic you can out-talk anyone, even me. That is true. That is true. It's funny because I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but if I'm out with a group of people, I'm normally quite quiet. I'm the kind of person that once I start talking, you can't shut me up. But sometimes sometimes if I'm in a group of people, I won't always contribute a lot to the conversation. I just like to listen to people's different views. But when I get talking, normally I can bore people half to death. But stay safe, people. Please, I know it's difficult, particularly as the weather's getting nice, but please follow the government's advice. It's there for a reason. We need to help each other out. Aaron, for Prime Minister, you've missed out. You've misspelled it, haven't you? Yeah, Prime Minister. Yeah, I get your point now, darling. No, I wouldn't like to be Prime Minister, particularly in this time. Very tricky. But obviously, help each other out. Help those that are vulnerable. Look after your family. Look after yourself as well. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I have enjoyed it. I do like these live Q&As. They're good fun. It's always interesting to see what kind of questions I get and what kind of topics we discuss. It is genuinely interesting. You never know what you're going to get. Obviously, I had some comments earlier which were a little bit fruity. But yeah, that's what I mean. You never quite, you never know what's going to pop up. So yeah, I think it's probably a good time to finish it there, guys. If you'd like to see more live Q&As, please do get in touch. But like I said, I don't want to do them just for the sake of doing them, although I do enjoy them. But yeah, just give it a few more moments. Just one more opportunity for someone to ask a question. Hopefully not one that could be transport minister. Again, that's not a job I envy, so I probably wouldn't do that either. But yeah, hopefully it's a question that doesn't involve a particularly long answer. Otherwise, we could be here for another half an hour at least. But yeah, as always, thank you for the support. It doesn't go unnoticed. That's why I like doing these kind of things, because it gives me a chance to connect with you guys. But yeah, hopefully things will resume as normal soon, both for the country, the world, and also for the YouTube channel. Yeah, because I do want to, review more cars. I do want to get out and film because the weather's getting so nice. But obviously, I need to do my bit, as does everyone else in the country. But yep, okay. Really, it's time for me to say goodbye now. Have a lovely evening, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you soon. And of course, stay safe.